This is the dollar, according to the renowned intergalactic professor of economic nonsense, Comrade Okurek. It is constantly shrinking and decaying.
The dollar reserves of major world economies are decreasing year by year. Not as quickly as some might wish, perhaps, but they are decreasing. Just as transactions in dollars are decreasing in the global economy, transactions in euros are also declining.
The whole world is watching in amazement at the new achievements of Putinomics, especially the incredible adventures of the Russian ruble, which has decided to reenact the plot of Jules Verne's Journey to the Center of the Earth.
People are already talking about 150, and that's, well, let's say 150 is even a moderate scenario. And the most radical scenarios, according to forecasts, I've already heard are 180 rubles to the dollar.
At the time of recording this program, €1 was already worth 120 wooden ones and one shriveled $115 patriotic bills. The ruble collapsed sharply, like the ceiling in the family of a special military operation soldier.
My husband is currently in a hot spot near the Kherson direction. He's serving under contract, defending our motherland, and meanwhile, the ceiling is falling in on us.
What will happen now? How are we living? We live in a dormitory.
The psychological barrier of 100 rubles per dollar, which the central bank fought so hard to maintain by constantly raising the key rate, was broken in a single evening, and the fall of the funny money is still ongoing.
Here's what the head of the LDPR, Leonid Slutsky, said on the exchange rate.
The ruble is the strongest currency. That's right. If it fell, it's only temporary. And today, the country is not in the easiest situation. But as always, it will come out of all situations and problems as the winner. So, good luck to our central bank.
They've stopped selling foreign currency. Only last.
That was right. We must stabilize the ruble.
It's been said for a long time that the Russian financial system is supposed to start collapsing. But the Kremlin managed to delay that moment with incredible financial injections of petrodollars into a sinking economic vessel. Russia, let's buy Vladimir Putin, and he is a true son of his race.
Go ahead and throw in your money if you like.
Dollars, stress bubbles, special services, stress bubbles, stress bub, not dollars.
Even among the Kremlin ghouls, infighting has begun against the backdrop of the approaching crash. The hysteria has even spilled out into public view. The head of Rostec and personal arms baron Kemezov lashed out at the head of the central bank, Nabiullina, because she keeps raising the key interest rate, which is killing the economy and, most importantly, the military-industrial complex. It's becoming impossible to take out loans for the production of shells.
A serious obstacle to further industrial growth is the record-high key interest rate. It's simply unprofitable for enterprises to use borrowed funds, as I have repeatedly said before. If we keep working like this, then almost all of our enterprises will essentially, for all practical purposes, almost certainly go bankrupt in the near future.
Nabiullina cried that if the rate isn't raised, the dollar-to-ruble exchange rate will be 1-to-1, $1 for a kilogram of rubles.
Today we made the decision to raise the key interest rate to 21% per annum. Since September, price growth has accelerated and inflation expectations have also increased. Lending continued to grow rapidly. Enterprises have been increasingly facing difficulties in expanding the production of goods and services due to limited labor resources.
Apparently, the security service financiers won the argument, and by the end of November, the central bank was no longer publicizing any rate increases. On top of that, although 3 years late, American sanctions finally hit 50 Russian banks, including the largest ones like Gazprom Bank. And voila, the ruble decided to take a dive to the bottom of Lake
Interestingly, organizations now associated with new financial institutions that have come under sanctions are themselves at risk of secondary sanctions. And this is important for the European Union, because if there are any organizations that are still connected to Gazprom Bank, they will be at risk.
In Russian society, there is now a whiff of panicant of bush legs. Adherents of traditional values rushed en masse to exchange their orthodox rubles for NATO currency. Exporters of vegetables and fruits began to refuse contracts to supply their products to Russia amid rising currency risks. And that's considering that food prices have already been rising faster than Peskov's mustache all year. According to forecasts, prices for essential goods could soar by up to 20%.
Price tags are going up, inflation is accelerating, especially for, let's say, those essential goods that Russians buy off store shelves. Yes.
For example, the price of potatoes has increased by more than 50% over the past year, and garlic has gone up by 30%. How can you survive in a country ruled by ghouls with garlic prices like these? In such circumstances, butter is moving into the category of jewelry. They're already selling it in special safes in the swamp so it doesn't get stolen. Against this backdrop, the Kremlin's economic wizards with glassy eyes claim that everything is going according to plan, and that the ruble's collapse will only benefit the country and its people.
Went 10 rubles.
And what currency do you get your salary?
Unfortunately, I buy things if you convert it in dollars, and I sell pasta.
But for us, the lion's share of all settlements with Kazakhstan are in tenge.
The tenge has also gone up,
which is actually causing us dissatisfaction.
Peskov, of course, is very skilled at playing the fool, and even a bit like a woodlouse, but he's just repeating the talking points of the chief economic guru of all Mordor.
Before, we used to sell a product that cost $1, and we would get 32 rubles for it. We sold the product, the money comes in, rubles, we got 32 rubles, but now we sell the product for a ruble, and we get 45. Budget revenues rose, not fell.
In theory, of course, it sounds pretty good. They will be getting more rubles. But the ruble has depreciated, and with this cheap paper money, they'll be paying wages to the serfs, which won't make life any easier for the serfs.
Lately, I often see news that the dollar is rising, but do we even need it at all?
Do you have any dollars on you?
Only rubles.
You don't need any.
The fall of the ruble will especially affect the mercenary orcs. Previously, their lives were paid for at 200,000 a month, which is $2,000. In one evening, that amount dropped to 1,700. In another week, it'll be down to 1.5.
My name is Savoshkin Vladimir Artemovich. Right now, at this moment, I'm living on the street.
Where are you from?
I came from the war. I served in Wagner.
How did you end up there?
From prison.
Prison is clear. How long and where?
Half a year, in the direction of Artyomovsk.
Compensation for injuries, which is already being reduced, is also paid in rubles.
The government decided to save money on Russia's wounded heroes. I suggest that all the officials who made this decision switch places with us. This is betrayal. Betrayal of Russia, betrayal of its heroes. All of this is happening for one reason. Our officials and deputies are so far removed from what is happening at the front that they are simply incapable of adequately assessing the situation and passing the right laws.
Let's see how these so-called warriors for the motherland and their grandfathers will go on the attack for mere pennies. Russian patriotism has a clear price tag to American dollars. The fewer the dollars, the less love there is for Mother Russia.
It's clear that if the war in the Russian Federation drags on, first due to the rising key, interest rate and other troubles, the economy and industry could halt or slow down, including the war effort and military-industrial complex.
While the ruble's decline gives Putin senile wet dreams, those very rubles are already running out. In Kuzbas, miners have gone on strike because they haven't been paid their wages. They are owed 4 months' pay. Putin sure did a great job getting Russia out of the 90s.
The miners at the Inskaya mine in the Kemerovo region have gone on strike. They haven't received their wages since the summer. Each of them is already owed almost 200,000 rubles. At the end of October, the miners also went on a hunger strike. After that, management and officials promised to pay them. But, as always, they lied.
The Kuzbas miners have already gone on a hunger strike and are ready to do it again. It's interesting so. In order to level Donbas to the ground and kill Ukrainian miners, Moscow is starving its own miners in Kuzbas.
Hang in there. All the best to you. Good spirits and good health.
Of course, the sanctions aren't working, and the ruble's collapse is supposedly incredibly beneficial. But the Russian coal industry is in deep trouble. Due to sanctions and the loss of the European market, Russian coal has become uncompetitive, and the drop in demand for Russian products in China and India has led to a great coal catastrophe. Mines are shutting down, coal production is decreasing, and miners are left without salaries or jobs.
The situation is completely under control, and there is absolutely no reason whatsoever at all for, how should I put it, for panic.
And yet, two major factors have not even hit the Russian Putinomics yet. The winter Armageddon in the utilities sector. Although the first horsemen of the apocalypse have already arrived.
The October session of the regional parliament opened with an unscheduled question. This week, an accident at a pumping station and a water hammer left 640 buildings in the Zaeltsovsky and Kalininsky districts of Novosibirsk without heat.
There are continuous shutdowns of steam mains and the houses are not getting the required heating parameters. To all questions, specialists from SGK and MTSK give the same answer. Everything is fine, we'll fix everything soon. People have been without hot water since the summer.
And the second factor, the entry into force of those very American sanctions against Russian banks. Because so far, it was just an announcement, and even that announcement has already caused the ruble to plummet. We can imagine what will happen once they are actually implemented.
The exchange rate is collapsing. The ruble is falling. The ruble is dropping, and all other prices are following it down. The hryvnia was feeling much more comfortable than the ruble. It didn't fall like that. That was truly astonishing. Ukraine, which has no gold, no oil, no gas. And before the special military operation, the hryvnia was more stable than the ruble.
We're keeping our fingers crossed and eagerly awaiting the next new low for the Russian pseudo-federation.
I would like to remind you that this video is created for entertainment purposes and contains elements of satire and irony. All facts and events are presented in a hyperbolized or exaggerated form to convey a comedic or dramatic effect. Our goal is not to mislead, but to highlight humor. Please take it with a smile.